Fallen Beauty Works here, coming to you once again with One Piece chapter 1156 entitled Idols. So, we got a fun cover-up jump this week in which the various mangaka have been assigned various Pokemon to draw on their styles. Oda got Pikachu, of course he did. And then we have a color spread in which we have the Roger Pirates being paralleled with the Straw Hat Pirates, and then Nami's just here too. And the rest of the Straw Hats are miniatures on Luffy, and this continues the saga of Oda does not want to draw Jinbei, because Jinbei is very tiny behind Frankie, who is in the front. Of course, Frankie gets first billing because he looks like a cool action figure. But continuing on with our chapter, we are shown the days of the Kuja Pirates in which Clarissa was the captain. So I'm guessing from what we see later on in the chapter, this is before she becomes a Rocks pirate. But she is a hottie. Goodness gracious. I guess too she doesn't have a Delphi because we don't see her with one in the present. But we also get to see Shakuyaku and how Shakuyaku is way more popular than Clarissa, and she was actually her first mate, which is very funny considering that she falls in love with Rayleigh. Now, it's been a long time theory of mine that she and Rayleigh are the parents of Boa Hancock. But what's also interesting about this too is that this is the manga debut of Tritoma. Tritoma is the one who takes the title of Empress after Shakuyaku abandons it. And she appeared in SBS 109. We did a video about that way back when it came out. And she has this weird little curly Q on the side of her head. I don't know what that's about, but I always thought that she was maybe Crocodile. I don't know if that's the case, but I do think Crocodile might have been a Kuja just because he keeps so many reptiles, and the only other people who are highly associated with keeping reptiles on their person are the Kuja. But yeah, Shakuyaku has a ton of fan mail, a ton. She is the favorite. Everyone loves her. Everyone is in love with her. No one likes Clarissa. Nobody. Also, when the Roger Pirates confront the Kuja Pirates, this is the first debut, I believe, of a Denden Mushi megaphone, which that is cool within itself. But yeah, the Roger Pirates cannot compete with the Kuja. And if it wasn't more obvious, Shakuyaku does a move very similar to Boa Hancock on Gabon, which makes me think, yeah, she probably is the mother of Boa Hancock. I'm telling you, bruh. And even back then, she was an avid smoker. So that's kind of funny, quite honestly. But yes, and apparently her little wing collar was a staple way back when. And now thinking about it, her whole breakdown of how Hancock would fall in love with Luffy makes more sense now. Because first of all, both of them are from Amazon Lily, and two, it would make sense considering her being Boa Hancock's mother. I could see it. It lines up. I could see it. I really could. But yeah, we've talked about that a lot. Now, the going theory is that she's the mother of Dracula Mihawk. I don't think so. Because where do the eyes come from? Where the eyes seem very deliberate, which is why a lot of people, myself included, tie him to Emu or House Nerona. Maybe House Dracula is related to House Nerona in some way. That seems more deliberate, if you ask me, as opposed to him being the son of Shakky and Rayleigh. It just doesn't make sense to me. But moving on, this whole thing is interrupted because Roger gets sights of Garp and they go at it. Very funny. The rivalry continues. And they have a clash of Blackened Fist and Blackened Sword. Very cool. Very funny. And it's also said, too, that themselves, along with Rocks, have always been rivals. So that's cool. That's very cool. We get a little bit about Loki here and how he just doesn't want to live with Ida and Hiruden when his father's away, which it's very funny that he's so against Ida. And Ida is a cutie patootie in this arc. And also we get to see Mato as a child. Mato, I believe, is the one running Ida's bar in the present. And we see her when Shanks appears on Elbaf in the present as well. So that's cool. That's cool. But apparently, someone comes to Pirate Island in order to join Rox's ranks. That person is Silver Axe. We finally get to see him. And his full name is Kyo the Hitman or Kyo the Wicked. So it's weird if this translation holds up that both him and Shakky had very similar epitaphs, and they were rivals back in the day. Now, what people pointed out is that it seems as though he had Eruge or Eruge's fruit, because somebody kicks him, and then all of a sudden he becomes this giant guy, whereas before he was just a regular sized guy. I could believe it. Now, one thing I've noticed, and people have been pointing this out too, he could be a part of the Diaz family. Like, maybe he's the father of Diaz Barrows, who is the father of Diaz Drake or X Drake, because he has an X tattoo on his chest. He has X's in his sunglasses, which is a sick design, by the way. So I could believe that. I could believe the legacy runs that deep, because it's funny, after X Drake's appearance in Sabaody Archipelago, he has been very quietly becoming more and more important in the background, because he was also in Law's flashback. So that's weird. And then two, Silver Axe has an X-shaped scar on his chin, much like DS Drake. So I could believe it. I could believe it. But yeah, it's likely that he did have Eruge's fruit, whatever that could be, because we still have a name for his fruit yet. And he's the only supernova whose fruit name hasn't been revealed yet, so it could be important. It could be. But yeah, he was the rival to Shakky back in the day. We also find out how the Pirate Island skull got its eye holes. It's because of Roxy Zebek. Somehow, someway, he just blew two perfect circular holes out of the mountain. That's wild. And it appears as though he did it himself. So I don't know what that's about. But then he says, as I was saying, there are two devil fruits I'm after. One of them's likely on Elbaf. It'll only show its true power if Harold eats it. I think this is the mini fruit. I keep bringing it up, but just because the mini fruit has only been associated with giant characters throughout the franchise, like Blue and Lily and Stomach, I think it's the mini fruit. And I think it's like a different variation of the fruit that's only powerful if a giant eats it, because it's too much that we're getting so much size altering stuff in Elbaf already with Biblo. There has to be an opposition of that type of fruit in some sort of variation of the mini fruit, because the fact that it was deliberately in the hands of an Elbathian giant, and both of the times that's appeared in the franchise, makes me think that when it makes its canon appearance, it too will be in the hands of an Elbathian giant, most likely Loki at this point. But we also get introduced to Charlotte Linlin, I believe, at her youngest. And she is a hot mama. Goodness gracious. We also see Captain John looking disheveled as ever. Also, Streusen is a part of the Rock's Pirates at this point. I remember seeing this on the wiki, but I don't think this was ever confirmed up until now. And yeah, you know it's the early days because Streusen looks young. So he, is in his 40s or whatever, and he's described as Linlin's partner in crime. Yeah, right. Oh, the implications are bad. I don't like the implications, because people have said that he could well indeed be the father of Perospero. I hate that. I don't like the idea. Of course, Newgate is here. And then we're introduced to the weird fishman guy that we see during Rox's raid on God Valley. And his name is Barbell, and he's a catfish fishman. So that's pretty neat. I'm glad we're finally introduced to him, and I guess in the future he becomes bald because he's got a wispy head of hair here, and he kind of looks like Nika, which is very funny. It's also funny that both Roger and Rox had fishmen on their crew, much like Luffy now with Jinbei. However, from the looks of it, Jinbei is the least consequential. Jinbei seems to be the least important one of the three. That could be bias I have against Jinbei, but I'm not seeing it, dog. His reputation does not precede him, because my goodness. Anyway, Kaido has also joined at this point, and of course he's a young punk kid. And as they're talking about the giants who are frozen and their means to track them down, because apparently Big Mom has an information network at this point, Kaido's like, why don't we just force Harold to join us? And Rox does not like that and kicks him square in the face. Good riddance. I love that he's just a punk kid at this point. It's so funny. It's so funny. I love it a lot. Very cool. Very fun. But yeah, the Rox Pirates are here. We have Ganzu, we have Kaido, Captain John, Streusen, Big Mom, continues to be gigantic. Oh my goodness. Rocks, Shakky, Malone, Newgate, Wang Ji, Stussy is here, and of course, Barble. And Barble is huge. Like Sunbell is huge. How interesting. But then Catfish can get pretty big. I can't remember if we were given what type of fish Sunbell actually was. Weird now to think about it. But yeah, Rocks is moving onward and upward to get the 2 devil fruits that he's after. And he's after those giant shipwrights that we learned about a little while ago. So that's cool. So I wonder why he needs them all. But thinking about it now, I still think Rocks himself has a devil fruit at this point. Because it's really weird that the eye holes were just blown out of the side of the mountain. Which makes me think that Rocks has a devil fruit, which is why his swordsmanship is so unique in the way that it's performed. I still think that he's a user of the Chop Chop fruit because I could believe the Chop Chop fruit would have some sort of awakened ability that would allow you to cause explosions. I could see it, especially seeing as how Buggy went from being someone who uses daggers to an explosions expert after Impel Down. But I wonder what the 2 devil fruits are. I think one has to be the canonical version of the mini fruit. The other, I don't know. And the reason why I'm thinking he just wants them on his crew because he wants Harold to eat one of them. So it could be that he wants a member of his crew to eat the other one, which is interesting. So he doesn't need to be the user of either fruit necessarily. That's an interesting change of pace. That's a very interesting change of pace. So I wonder, is Blackbeard after the same fruits that Zebek was after? Or is a darkness fruit a part of this at all? Because it may be, it may not be. Perhaps Teach found a different way that his father didn't know about. I don't know. Something to think about. But from the looks of it, it doesn't seem like Zebek has the darkness fruit. It just doesn't seem that way. But we shall see. I do think we're on break next week, which is a shame, but I'll keep you occupied with content as always. With that being said, give me your thoughts and tell your friends about Polypede.